leisure activities, or you guys would say it like leisure. Wait, was she hitting on me? No, I don't think she was. Is that what you guys say? So today we are going to talk about some things that still shock me about American behavioral traits. I'll probably have to stupefy that as a video title because the algorithm is not too smart. Things that Americans do that only Americans do habitually. Aww. The Canadian viewers always ask, do you include us in this list? Maybe a little bit for this one, yeah. You guys are different. Like, we are different from British people in the Republic of Ireland, but there is also like some crossover, to be fair. How many trips have I been on to the USA by now? Can anybody keep track? I've lost track. But I would say I'm a pretty frequent flyer to the USA, and yet there are still things that you guys do that shock me every single time. So we're gonna look at those today. The first thing, and it's to do with how direct American people generally speaking are, and of course all of these things are generally speaking. Everybody is a unique and special snowflake, and everybody does things differently. These are just traits that we have in common. Like, Irish people love to drink. That's not true of all Irish people, but a lot of us, myself included. So you've probably heard people say that American people are very direct, and one way that I have found it come up a lot more than ever happens to me in any country in Europe is getting hit on.
Come here often?
I'm going to say this with some degree of caution. I don't really get hit on in most countries in Europe. I mean, okay, if you're in a nightclub or something, which I do not frequent, or if you're in a particular situation, but when I'm in America, if I'm getting like a cup of coffee or I'm just walking down the street or something, people will like, well, men, I don't get hit on by women actually, which is, I don't know, that's, should I be insulted by that? I don't think I've ever been hit on by a woman. Anyway, that's nothing to do with this video. But men in America will like actually stop and just start talking to you. And they'll be like, hey, how are you? Where are you from? And I'm like, Ireland. And they're like, oh, other things. And they'll say things to you as direct as, I like you. We should go out sometime. And you're like, because I'm not used to it, you know? But that brings me to my next thing that is somewhat connected to directness, but actually is its own little category. It's compliment giving and receiving. Americans just give out compliments all the time. It's so nice. Like, you'll just be walking down the road and this woman was like, hey, great coat, girl. And I was like, thank you. Wait, was she hitting on me? No, I don't think she was. Or they'll be like, girl, you're having a good hair day. And I'm like, thanks. And the reason I say thanks now and not no I'm not, which is actually mostly how as an Irish person I would be attuned to respond, is because of how Americans receive compliments. So generally you give an American a compliment and they'll go, thank you. And they might say something nice back, you know, in return of their compliment. But where I'm from in Ireland, if you are given a compliment, the customary reply is usually to go, no, and tell them why they're wrong about the compliment they've given. Like, hey, nice coat. You'd be like, oh, this old thing, it's a piece of shit. I've had this for 7 years, blah, 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 blah. But in America, you just say thanks. And I think that's kind of nice. Something else I've had to try and get used to is informality and shorthand. So when this first popped up, particularly in relation to when I say thank you for something, I thought like people were being rude, but it's just how it goes. So actually the last point leads on really nicely to this one. Oh, it's almost like I scripted it like that, huh? And then I forgot how I scripted it. I just write bullet points, by the way. I don't write like scripts.
She writes scripts. She does nothing but talk absolute shite.
But when you say thank you to somebody for something, like they help you with something or they bring you something to your table or whatever, as would be their job, they're not just randomly bringing you things to your table. You go, thank you, and they go, of course.
Thank you.
Of course. I knew the first time I heard it, they didn't mean like, of course. But it just sounded a bit curt. And the other thing American people do when you go, thank you, they go, mm-hmm. I don't know. In Europe, a lot of times you'll have like a response like de nada. In Spain, if you say gracias, you say de nada. Or in Ireland, obviously you say thank you and you go, you're welcome. Which I guess is a bit like, of course. I love you more than life itself. You love my beautiful angel. It's his birthday this week, by the way. We're going to have a party with dogs on Saturday, and I'll be recording that for Patreon and channel membership. If you want to check that out, do join us over there. But in a similar way, this shorthand translates to, say you're in a shop and you'll ask somebody for something. And I don't know, it's not that in all shops in Europe people are like on their most formal behavior all the time. That's not the case. But say you go to somebody and you'll be like, excuse me, do you have this top in like a medium? And they'll be like, hey Marsha, do we have this top in a medium? Like, and they don't necessarily acknowledge you, which is like different, but not rude, just different. The next thing that always surprises me is the amount of brand loyalty that Americans have. And that shows itself in different ways in different parts of Europe. For example, in Ireland, it'll be what rugby team you follow or what football team. And that is the case in America too. In Spain, it'll be like, are you part of a hiking group or whatever? And I'm not saying brand loyalty doesn't exist in Europe, but the degree to which it exists in America is next level. And I do see the incentives for it. Like, for example, airlines, you guys got me really into that, like be loyal to an airline and they'll give you points, and if you collect those points then you can get cheaper flights, and that totally works and that's a great idea. But then there's stuff like Disney, like people are like Disney people or Harry Potter people. Let's take the Stanley Cup thing recently. Like, people want to feel part of something, but they will give their loyalty to a brand more so. And obviously that affects people in parts of Europe too, just not to the same extent. And I do find it really interesting. I'd really like to hear your input on why you think that might be, or if you think perhaps I'm incorrect in that, let me know below in comments. I do enjoy the conversational aspect of this, but from my casual observations, I have just seen a lot more brand loyalty in America than in Europe. The next thing is describing distance. So I've mentioned before on the channel how you guys will compare it to a physical thing, like, oh, it's 2 football fields away. Is that what you guys say? Football fields is one, isn't it? Like, that's a way you describe a size of something. But another thing is that when I'll ask directions to somewhere in America, the way they will explain it is how long it will take me to get there. So for example, I might go, oh, do you know where the Irish Heritage Centre is? And they'll go, it's about 10 minutes away. And obviously they mean by car, because most of the time they do not mean by public transport or walking. But it's interesting how they default to how long it'll take you to get somewhere. I just find that interesting. And the next thing I have noticed about American personality traits is competitiveness. You guys are so competitive. This is why we don't want you in the Eurovision. You'll take it too seriously. Like, you get that we're doing campy, but you'll like put huge production value behind the campiness. So as I understand it, competitiveness is deeply ingrained in American culture, from the education system to the workplace. Like, there are schemes in place that will make you feel competitive. Even leisure activities, or you guys would say it like leisure, they become very competitive in the US. And definitely, of course, you get people in Europe who are competitive by nature, type A personalities. But also there's a lot more just doing something because it's fun, as opposed to like having to find out who's the best at something or having to be the best. Now again, this one is up for discussion, and certainly I'm seeing a skewed aspect of perhaps how children are treated in America in terms of competitiveness. Like, for example, they might take on dance, but then they have to be like the best at dancing and a professional dancer, or gymnastics, and they have to be the best. A lot of times here, you'll just like send kids off to do something just because you kind of want them out of the house for a few hours. If you are a parent, let me know below in comments how you feel about that, or maybe you have encountered other parents who are very competitive with their kids. And the final personality trait that I have noticed from American people, and it's one I particularly love, is entrepreneurial spirit. The United States has a strong culture of entrepreneurship and innovation. And Americans are hugely proud of self-made success stories. Like, you very much champion people who are go-getters and who do the thing. And I've noticed in society, you're very encouraging, even to me on this channel, of me trying something new or new ventures, or say somebody's trying to start a new company or something. People are so encouraging from America. And I find in Europe, it's a little bit more insular. Like, people are like, okay, you go do that thing. Like, the encouragement from the American side is just massive. And as I said, championing people who are go-getters, I think that's really cool. I guess It's hinged on the fact that the country is based on innovators and pioneers, and the come up has been so fast for America and how quickly it's grown, so it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, those are just a couple of things that I noticed that still shock me that American people do. Let me know below in comments if you think that there's any things that I missed, or indeed if you disagree with me on anything, let me know below in comments. I always enjoy the discourse in the SHC. Sometimes it's the first hour, but sometimes it's just the first half hour. You just gotta be fast. Shout out today to these very cool people. Chewy, do you want to help me with this shout out?
These are the members of the Comic Girls crew.
Into the mic, Chew.
I like these people very much, and I like how they give Chewy treats and virtual cuddles they send me on the internet.
Do they, buddy?
Yeah, I can feel the squishes on my belly.
Why are they called the Karmic Girls crew, Chew?
Because they get good karma for being supporters of this channel. Chewy appreciates them very much.
Wow, Chewy, you have such intelligence for a 10-year-old.
I know, Chewy is a fountain of all knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you so much to the members of the Karmic Girls crew. That's it for today. See you guys on the other side. Bye.